Hi, hello, and well met, friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Nimue. I'm a professional psychic medium and astrologer, and I am here to bring you the forecast for July 2025, day to day, going over the various aspects, the big cosmic shifts we're going to be experiencing, generational shifts we're going to be experiencing, and all of the retrogrades. I wish so much that I could tell you that the astrology of July 2025 was going to be chill, that we're going to get a break. That is not the case. It's not going to be the worst we've ever seen because I still have not recovered from that Mars retrograde from last year into this year. That was, I think I've gone over this before in previous videos. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. That was a lot. However, the month of July is very dynamic, and there's going to be a lot of speed bumps along the way and a major generational shift with Uranus moving into Gemini. I will be honest, I don't like to necessarily sugarcoat things, but I do, as my patrons know, lean more towards the positive. Uranus moving into Gemini makes me a little edgy, especially in the very, very beginning. Historically, when Uranus has been in Gemini, it has coincided with several global conflicts, domestic conflicts. So it's with everything going on in the world right now, this could continue to sort of light the fuse in a couple of different directions, but we will get to that as we go through day to day. We are going to start with July 1st. I've got my handy dandy notes here because there's a lot to cover. So July 1st. First of the month, we have the moon in Virgo opposing Saturn and Neptune, which are going to be conjunct this entire month, even when they're starting to go retrograde. That same moon is going to be trining Venus and Uranus. We're going to have Black Moon Lilith trining the Sun. Black Moon Lilith is currently in Scorpio. The Sun will be in Cancer. Pluto and Aquarius will be sextiling Saturn and Neptune, which are both in the beginning degrees of Aries. And Venus will be conjunct Uranus and Taurus. That's a lot going on day one. The note I have for this energy is it's giving, I don't care what you think, I'm going to do my own thing. I think with everything going on, with where we're at consciousness wise, with everything that we've gone through regarding the shifts in our societies, sociopolitically, economically, a lot of people are at the stage of awakening where we're throwing off the constraints of mundane reality and we're choosing to do what we want because life is short. I think a lot of us are feeling that kind of pressure to just be in alignment with our own authenticity more than ever. That is one thing I'm actually looking forward to with the month of July. July 2nd, Moon in Libra, squaring the Sun in Cancer, Pluto in a loose opposition to Mercury. The note I have for this one is voices not being heard or alternatively voices getting louder. I do know there's going to be another set of mass demonstrations, I believe in the middle of July, and this is giving anti-war. This is giving, I'm calling my senators and I'm really, really hoping they're listening. It's giving, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to get super loud. This is that Pluto-Mercury opposition energy. And I think this is kind of the gift of both Saturn and Neptune being in Aries is us learning that the individual, our individual passion really matters, that we can't keep outsourcing our empowerment to other people to do the work for us. July 3rd, Moon in Libra opposing Chiron in Aries. This is a little prickly just around the area of relationships. It's giving, I need independence, but I want you around, but I don't know if I want you around that much. So just be mindful if you're feeling a little fidgety in your relationships at the beginning of the month. July 4th, Venus moves into Gemini. This is going to bring a potential surge in communication regarding your romantic relationships, your business relationships. And then Neptune retrograde is going to begin in Aries. Neptune will retrograde back into Pisces in August and back into Aries in February of 2026, and then stay there until 2039. We're going to have Saturn joining Neptune in a little bit. I will get to that. Especially with Uranus moving into Gemini very soon after this, we are going to have to really practice our due diligence around misinformation, propaganda. This is always true. You know, propaganda is a long used tool to control the masses. But with this retrograde, especially with Neptune moving back into Pisces, like this is very foggy. This is very like, is this or isn't this? Make sure that what you're giving your attention to, like, is this AI? Who benefits from whatever emotional response I am giving this current piece of media? That is how you practice discernment, especially if you're on social media, if you're on your phone, watching the news, whatever it is. On the same day, the moon in Scorpio will be trining Jupiter in Cancer, which will take the edge off a little bit, I think, of this Neptune retrograde beginning. Typically, honestly, when the outer planets station retrograde, you don't always feel it immediately in the same way that you would experience like a Mars retrograde or a Mercury retrograde. These are more generational planets, generational energies. So you may start to see a shift in collective discourse, in collective socio-political decisions. You're less likely to feel this in the moment, although some of you I know are very, very sensitive. And I think we're getting more sensitive as consciousness continues this upward spiral. On July 5th, Neptune and Saturn will be sextile Venus and Uranus. This could lead to new partnerships, new relationships. I feel that social activity around this time is going to be high and meaningful. Venus in Gemini, I think, is going to bring a lot of like energy, mental energy, conversational energy into public discourse and into individual discourse. On the July 6th, Pluto will be trining Venus and Uranus, which at this point is still in Taurus, sextiling Neptune and Saturn, which is sextiling Venus and Uranus. Moon will be opposing Uranus and Venus, and Black Moon Lilith will be squaring Mercury and Leo. Are you still with me? Are you still with me? This is a good day for couples therapy. Say that you've been having a little bit of tension in your relationship. You know, Black Moon Lilith is really doing a number on, I think, the empowerment of the divine feminine. And this affects you no matter what gender. And I know several people in my own personal life right now that are really doing a lot of heavy lifting regarding restructuring the balancing act of their personal relationships. And I feel like the 6th is a really good day to have important conversations. This could also on the global stage be a really big day for diplomacy or big surprises. And those surprises could be positive or negative, I guess, depending on what side of the aisle you are on. But I have written down new allies with a question mark, the dissolving of old agreements. Geopolitically, I'm not a geopolitical expert, so I don't get into this too much on this channel. I sometimes get into it a little bit more with my patrons when we do channeling exercises together. But this, I wonder, and I feel like this has been coming for a long, long time. I think July is where we're going to see a lot of reshuffling around alliances, country to country. And there might be some surprises. There might be some, oh, I never saw that country shaking hands with this country. Maybe especially in the United States, we thought we'd always have X, Y, and Z on our back. And now given the decisions of some of the folks in office right now, people are like, all right, no, I don't know this guy. This guy right here, get a bouncer, get him out of here. You feel me? Okay. July 7th, where I have my little star. This is huge. This is Uranus entering Gemini. And the note I have for this is that there's a reason we've been coaching people into letting go of old consensus reality, of teaching you guys about the importance of your attention, of teaching you all about how powerful you are when it comes to creating your reality, and what consciousness means for reality. The world is never going to be the same. I feel like we could have said that after 2020, and in a lot of ways, 2025 astrologically is kind of bookending the energy that came through in 2020. But this is huge. This is a long transit, and we've known this is coming. But Uranus and Gemini, Uranus is the planet of rebellion, disruption, sudden change, innovation, electricity, technology. And when it's in Gemini, there can be this kind of big, I don't want to say explosive energy, but it has manifested that way in the past historically around what we believe to be true. What side of the aisle are we on? And I want to hope that this looks a lot less like the division that the parasitic class, let's call them, has instilled among the common man. I'm speaking specifically for the United States, although I'm sure this would be true in other places. I really hope that if there is a split, like if this creates further division, it's less us against us and more us recognizing that we've all been brainwashed and programmed to hate each other because a very small percentage of very selfish and greedy individuals wants to control the narrative and be in their own vile energy. Okay. I wonder and I hope if it's going to be as disruptive as it's been in the past, that this looks like the ants recognizing how many of us there are and being like, wait a minute. Okay. Feel me? On the same day that Uranus moves into Gemini, the moon in Sagittarius will be square Mars in Virgo, trining Mercury in Leo. So let me sit with that for a second because I feel like there's something there I want to bring forward. I'm hearing consolidation. I feel like this is a great day to think about how to consolidate your energy, take some inventory about where you are on your own timeline, who your friends are, maybe even check in around your belief systems. Try to figure out if you want a journal prompt for this, how much of what I believe is mine, truly mine, and how much of it was instilled in me. Just because it was instilled in you doesn't mean you might not resonate with it, but it's a good day to check in with your authentic belief systems. The 8th, there wasn't a whole lot to write home about. So I jumped to the 9th where we have the moon in Capricorn opposing Jupiter in Cancer. And the note I have for the 9th is it's not weak to feel weak. Feeling vulnerability, admitting where you don't feel put together, to me, maybe this sounds a little hokey. To me, it feels like an act of courage. It's important for us to be emotionally honest about where we're at. That's what I have for July 9th. July 10th, Capricorn full moon. And I have revelation around letting go of internalized capitalism, ? Internalized capitalism looks like one example of what this could look like is say you have a day off. You feel fidgety because you're not being productive. You feel restless because you're not allowed to rest. Feeling that I have to be working, I have to be busy. Productivity is really the word that comes to mind with internalized capitalism. Also, internalized capitalism can show up as my self-worth is based on how much work I produce, how much money I make, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this might be a great day. Full moons are about release to see if you can release some of that programming around that. That's the parasitic class getting into your consciousness and trying to make you feel worthless if you're not sacrificing your own life force energy for them. Okay. July 12th, we're jumping past the 11th because there wasn't too much to write about there. We're going to be skipping around a little bit. So if you hear me move from one date to another, not consistently in order, just because it's either similar energy to the day before, there just wasn't a whole lot going on, I thought worth reporting on. On the 12th, moon in Aquarius opposing Mercury in Leo. This is the needs of the many versus the needs of the few energy. I think as a society, intuitively what this feels like, with everything going on regarding the kidnappings and the human trafficking, if we're being honest, in the United States, with a certain 3-letter organization, I think more people are going to be standing up against the illegality of what's going on in whatever format that takes. On the 13th, Saturn retrograde in Aries will begin. Saturn will move into Pisces September 1st until February 13th, 2026. I have written down here reality check. It's always a reality check when Saturn is involved. Always. Saturn checks us. Saturn is the voice on loudspeaker saying, touch grass, pay your freaking taxes, drink water. It's the disciplinarian out of our cosmic family. The reality check I have written down here is the need to recognize that daddy isn't coming to save us. A lot of us are still kind of, I do want to say brainwashed by this concept that there's going to be a hero that swoops in and makes everything that's going wrong better. I don't see a singular person. Like intuitively, I don't know any one psychic that sees one person paving the way. Every psychic, every intuitive, myself included, when we lean into future timelines, especially between now and like 2027, I can only go so many years out personally. It's the collective. It's all of us. It's us deciding as a team, and not just outsourcing again our empowerment or outsourcing responsibility to somebody who inevitably gets corrupted by financial and corporate interests. Okay. July 14th, Moon in Pisces, square Venus and Gemini, trining Black Moon Lilith. And here I have like underlined, don't let them gaslight you. And that feels very personal. So just be mindful in your personal relationships if you feel like you're picking up on something, and they're saying work relationships as well. Like if you feel like you're being lied to, like go with your gut. I have a crazy story time on my Patreon about that, and discernment and trusting your gut instinct. And I'll just say this because I can only say so much. I put myself in the hands of somebody who could have done me tremendous amounts of harm because I did not trust my gut, and I gaslit myself actually. So that kind of works internally as well. Don't gaslight yourself if you feel like something is kind of coming in your intuitive channel. July 16th, the moon in Aries, squaring Jupiter in Cancer. This is a day of maybe some big feelings. Potentially also big feelings around patriotism, around community, around identity, and realizing that sometimes in order to protect yourself, there does need to be some kind of fight or some kind of outward action. Again, not just waiting for somebody to come save you, learning how to defend yourself, learning how to protect yourself and your community. July 18th, Mercury in Leo will go retrograde. So we have 3 retrogrades in July. Lots of pause, lots of wait a minute, lots of like kind of being like held back, like the seatbelt, like when try to move forward too quickly in your seatbelt, it's like that energy in July. Mercury in Leo goes retrograde until August 10th. This retrograde is going to highlight our feelings around self-worth, how we talk about it. Venus and Gemini will be sextiling Mercury, so there might be some conversation around needs and wants in your relationships. Chiron will also be squaring the sun. This is going to be a little bit of a like, ow, that hurt me, and I need to tell you about it. Like, I don't like that. And I, again, collectively, this could look like the hornet's nest getting kicked a little bit, with people being like, hey, y'all really need to stop doing what you're doing over there in DC. And like I feel more people just getting mad. And I believe this is coming after the No Kings demonstrations, because I think I want to see that the No Kings, I should know this. I think they're on the 17th of July. So there might be some feelings around all this. July 21st, Venus will be conjunct the moon in Gemini, squaring Mars and the South Node. The Mars and the South Node are going to be coming together too. This is actually kind of big as well because I have that aspect in my natal chart. And it has a lot to do with actively letting things go that aren't serving you, being forced to sometimes let go of, like physically let go of the things that aren't working, let go of old karmic patterns. I have a note on July 21st with this moon conjunct Venus in Gemini, Mars and the South Node. I have a brain. Venus conjunct moon in Gemini, squaring Mars and South Node in Virgo. I have new entrepreneurs will probably be a result of this energy. And also, this is a big FU to controlling micromanaging systems. A lot of y'all might walk off the job on the 21st because you're just done. Like you've had it. There could be some breakups here. There could be some divorces. This is big. Like I'm done with this. And in order for me to be done, I actually have to take action about it. July 22nd, Leo season begins. Uranus will be sextiling the sun. I think this must have been an intuitive download. The note I have for the 22nd is that some folks might be embroiled in scandal. I don't know where this came from. So I just take that. Let's see what happens. I'm not always the best with certain kinds of, I'm excellent. Ask anybody who's had a reading with me. I am excellent at predictions one-on-one. Collective stuff is a little bit, there's so much going on. I'm not always the best, but I do have some folks might be embroiled in a little scandal. And I mean, what else is new? Honestly, at this point, July 23rd, Saturn and Neptune trining the sun in Leo. This is cool. I like this. I like this aspect. This is a day where you can go inwards and maybe just look at the power of your own inner light. What I have as a note for this is the universe is telling you you made the right call acting in your own self-interest. So if there was something that you walked away from around the 21st, like you're done, I feel like the 23rd, you're feeling really good about that choice. And the universe might even be blessing you. You might be seeing the green flags of that decision. On the 24th, new moon in Leo, which will be opposing Pluto. And I must have been in crazy channeling. I took these notes yesterday, and I think I must have been in the deep channel because some of these notes, I have internet blackout with a question mark, information outage. This feels like a big FU energy. Mercury in Leo will be squaring Black Moon Lilith. And the sun opposing Pluto continues into the next day because it's this new moon is going to be the sun and moon both opposing Pluto. This feels like the powers that be overstepping big time. This feels like the activation of a narcissistic wound, and I think it's them trying to control the narrative very, very hard. We'll see how this plays out. On the 26th, Black Moon Lilith squaring off with Mercury, Uranus squaring a moon in Leo, and the note I have here is acting out because people feel unseen. So if there is this big kind of like authoritarian push or move the day before, 2 days before, this is where the people are like, all right, I don't know. July just feels so volatile. It feels like so many people being like, I'm not going to let you keep stepping on me. I'm done. Like the whole, like, don't tread on me crowd. Where are you at? What does that actually mean? You know, step up, step up. Anywho, this is a conversation for my patrons, honestly. What does that even mean? I'm sorry. Okay, hopefully I have hopefully no violence, but this could look like a mass casualty event. There could be more violence going on in between certain countries, between us and the Middle East. But I didn't want to look too deeply into that. I save that again for my patrons. Link is in the bio if you guys want to check that out. July 30th, Chiron retrograde begins. And will end January 2nd, 2026. The note I have here is that we're learning that individuals hold an enormous amount of power. We're learning that I've said this already, I think this is the third time I've said this in this video, that we outsource a lot of this power. See where Aries is in your chart. This is where you're going to be feeling all of these retrogrades the most. And retrograde energy, again, is about review, rethinking things, like organizing things consciousness-wise, seeing what works, leaving what doesn't. Last but not least, July 31st, Pluto squaring the moon in Virgo, Saturn and Neptune squaring Venus in Cancer, which she moves into on that same day, and then Venus trining the moon. And as a journal prompt for the end of the month, I have what things are the most important to you. What's the most important to you? I am going to pull, just like I always do, a couple of cards for advice on how to move through this next month, this volatile, I think, volatility, but also potentially very empowering month. The quest. Plunge boldly into life. What I'm getting from this is no matter what happens, don't give up. No matter what happens, don't stop living your life. Don't stop following your passions. Don't stop following what matters to you. The thin veil. A lot of y'all are going to continue to have massive upgrades in your own spiritual practice, your own channel. Some of your dreams in July might go off the chain, especially those of you that are more connected to the collective. I would highly recommend, especially with this card showing up here, if you don't have a spiritual hygiene practice, look into that. That just looks like energetically shielding, grounding, protecting your space, warding, whatever kind of speaks to you. And we'll do one more. Attune to the call. Tune in and turn on. What is calling to you? What is your passion? What do you want to chase after? No matter what's going on in the world, where do you feel like you could apply yourself the most? I want to encourage you all to pay attention to what's going on in your local communities. Please look out for each other. Please head on a swivel, but do be mindful that you guys, because I've been getting these in a lot of personal readings, especially in the tarot for zodiac readings. Be careful with how much you're consuming. You know, the doom scrolling does get addictive. It's not good for us. It's good to know what's happening in the world, but where you point your attention matters. So like, try not to give so much energy to the horrors of the world that's all you're creating in your own subconscious. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. If you have not yet done so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. For one-on-one readings, you can book an appointment with me. The link is up on my YouTube, up on my intro. You know where to find it. You know where the link is. Check out the Patreon for more personalized readings and more content. Thank you for tuning in. Happy July.